think my favorite scene from Gokaiger is when you can't choose between the gold and silver, and you just ask for them together.
Yes. I personally like it better when he did the gold anchor.
Yes.
I need to watch the
Just to give anybody an idea, if you haven't been watching Gokaiger, they introduced Gokai Silver. In the next episode, he realizes that he has the ability, for some reason, that he can daydream and combine powers. Specifically with Golanger, like I said, he had the brother-sister pair of Golan Gold and Golan Silver. He can decide which one he wants to use. So he literally starts daydreaming in the middle of the fight and says, "Can I do something where I can use you both at the same time?" They combine together, and he has a Ranger key that is literally split down the middle, gold, silver. Later in that same episode, he and Gokai Green are fighting a monster. Gokai Green says, "Listen, you did it earlier with just the two. Can't you do something to combine everything you have?" And he said, let's see.
And sure.
5 or 15.
15 Ranger keys. He starts daydreaming, has all 15 of them, and says, "Can you do something where I can just at once, all at the same time?" And literally, he is sitting there begging them, bowing, "Please, please, And one by one, they walk past him, essentially giving him the okay. And he snaps out of it, and he's holding this gold anchor-shaped key that he shoves in the bottom of his morphing device. And this giant anchor comes down and becomes armor for him.
Gold.
Oh, he's over the top. I love him. The best thing about him is, though, his finishing attack in gold mode is called Gokai Legend Dream, where he summons the images of all 15 sixth members at one time. The first 7...
Or the air type.
The ones with the guns.
Yes, the ones with the guns shoot. Come out, the ones with the melee weapons, hitting the bad guy, then he comes in behind with the spear. It is a fanboy dream. I love it. Any questions, comments, concerns? Yes. There are some things that could qualify as Super Sentai anime. Go Lion, for example. Otherwise known as Voltron for people who don't know. Yeah. It's not a Sentai, but it does have the hallmark of what a Sentai is.
Yeah.
Color-coded members, robots combined together, fighting giant monsters. Now, like I said, the original Voltron does. Dirugger 15, the vehicle force Voltron, there could be arguments made for that in a 15-member Sentai. That would be weird. There are others that have similar styles. Gotchaman, Battle of the Planets, what are some of the other names for that stupid one?
Transor Z?
No, not Transor Z.
No, that's different.
Battle of the Planets, the one where it's the 5 bird-based ones. G-Force, thank you. That's very similar in the fact they are not color-coded, they are uniformed in a similar style. They do have a giant mecha that they use in their spaceship, whatever it's called. I'm not a big fan of Gatchaman. And they do fight giant monsters. So there are some anime that can be similar, but there are no actual Sentai anime. Yes?
I might sound very inexperienced, but I always wondered if, how do the people in America, they don't dub it, or do they just act everything out the way the Japanese?
No, what they do is, Saban, who now owns Power Rangers again, was owned by Disney for the past
But then they bought it back.
And then they bought it back, but anyways. What they do is they bring over the morph sequences where they're in their uniforms. They use what they can of those scenes cut out anything that could be a little bit risque or too violent for American kids, and then make the episodes around what they have. Sometimes they get very similar storylines, like Power Ranger Samurai, the current one that's going on, is almost identical to Shinkenger.
There are a few minor changes, but for the most part,
Yeah, there's a few minor differences.
Like how the Red Ranger's not a girl.
Previous Power Rangers RPM, is vastly different than Goanger. Goanger was very lighthearted. It was comedic. There was, a lot of things that just were really over the top. RPM is considered one of the darker and more serious Power Ranger seasons. So sometimes they stick with the storyline, sometimes they don't. But that's pretty much what they do. They just essentially cut out the fights and use that and then throw in the storyline they want.
Actually, though, I want to bring up a point about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They used all the episodes of Kyoryu Sentai Judanger, but then Saban commissioned people in Japan to make more.
Yep. Yeah, they used up everything for Zyuranger. The original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was supposed to end on the two-part episode Doomsday, which is where Rita comes down and fights and they get rid of her. Originally, it was written that they were going to put her back in her space dumpster and send her back up into space, and that was it. But by the time they got to actually filming it, they said, this is too big of a hit, it's too popular, we can't end it like that. So they had it open-ended. Saban got a hold of Toei, who does the Sentai, and said, can you give me more episodes, just fight material, of the Zyuranger suits with Zyuranger style monsters, but that's all we need. They did include a few things that were more Power Rangers than the Sentai, like the relationship between the Pink and Green Rangers, the Blue Ranger being the genius, things like that, which weren't in the original Sentai.
Even one of those, didn't the Blue Ranger bring Gadget to help like destroy a monster to show off?
Yeah, the season 2 premiere, where the Prentice head had taken over the Zords.
Oh, right.
And he realized that he had forgot and put one of the batteries in upside down. But yeah, that's essentially what they do.
Technical difficulties, people.
Yeah.
And then instead of having more of the action sequences in Japan, that they were actually doing stuff here with the suits.
Yeah.
Power Rangers type monster stuff.
And that's why once you got to seasons 2 and 3 of Power Rangers, you had less and less of the Japanese fight footage, except for the Zords. Right. Sure.
Why did they change everything for the American one? I mean,
censorship.
Yeah.
I didn't quite really see them doing that for Toonami on Cartoon Network, where they had to do Power Rangers.
Storyline was really kind of deep. They were a group of knights and princes and a princess from tribes of not necessarily cavemen, but prehistoric humans who lived alongside with dinosaurs. And the reason we find out that Bandora, who Rita Repulsa, wanted to destroy the world was because her son had been killed by a trampling Tyrannosaurus. And that's kind of hard to come over and explain to little kids. Hey kids, these are people from back in prehistoric days, and they slept for 65 million years in a magic chamber.
Yeah, it does not really add up.
Kids can actually understand.
I agree with you. I agree. But the higher-ups at Saban Entertainment said, kids won't get this. Let's make it 5 teenagers with attitude.
Then 3 went on strike, and one of them was replaced by Johnny Young Fox.
No, not teenagers!
with kicking
I do sort of like it how they have the Green Ranger come
Yes.
back.
Oh yes. We cannot forget the Wasserman's
I
actor
mean,
for
they
Power
sort of had him
Rangers.
come back as the White
And
Ranger.
if anybody is really interested in
back later as a
a
Black
retrospective on Power Rangers, Linkara. There is a online reviewer by the name of Linkara who is going through and doing a retrospective of every season. He's sitting down watching every episode in order. Well, he has gotten up to Dino Thunder. The last one he put out was Dino Thunder. This was a few months back. He's kind of gotten behind on a lot of things, but
Return of Dr. Tommy Oliver.
it goes into a lot of detail with the Power Rangers.
They sort of do that in Japanese. The Japanese story will come back.
At least the first
Well, I've only got a few minutes before my next one.
well, you can only show the beginning of the show. I'm like, you know,
I guess I can do that real quick.
we'll go, you know.
Oh, I'll definitely.